in this website. So we begin here with the second forum. Please go ahead. Thank you. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be able to be part of this forum when we're talking about the management of product recalls. And today we're going to have three presenters of this topic. We are going to have Tanya Topka, recall directors of the National Highway and Transportation Administration of the United States. The second presentation will be in charge of Daniela Parra, who is the Chief of Sustainability of SERNAC in Chile. And the third presentation, Challenges and Best Practices During Campaigns, from Leandro Contreras, Customer Experience Head of Honda. And also one presentation from María Ramírez, the representative from Colombia. We are going to begin. I think that we have one more person that is online. Okay, perfect. Tanya Topka, please. Would she be online? And we'll give her the floor. She's a director of the Office of Defects and Investigations of the NHTSA of the United States on the Department of Transportation. She has had many leadership positions on the Defects Investigations Office when she joined in 2019. Before that, she was the head of the Quick Recall Program and the Fire Hazard Division, electrical and mechanical, both in the Consumer Advocates Organizations of the United States Compliance Office. She has worked in product safety, risk assessments, product recall due to safety concerns, and the evaluation of new technologies since the year 2000. So we give the floor to Tanya Topka. We are establishing the uplink. I don't know if you can hear us, Tanya. You can hear us? ¿Pueden escucharme? Yes, we can. Okay, gracias. Ahora pueden avanzar a la siguiente.
So I'm from the Department of Transportation's National Highway and Traffic Safety Administration, which is responsible for keeping people safe on Americans' roadways. Mission is to save lives, prevent injuries, and reduce the economic cost with traffic fatalities. You can go back to the previous slide, sorry. So in the United States, we do a large number of vehicle recalls each year. As you can see on the blue bars, that is the number of vehicles recalled each year from 2014 to 2023. The yellow bar across the top shows you how many vehicles have been recalled in each of those categories. So for example, in 2023, we have recalled about 960 had 960 recalls and recalled about just under 40 million vehicles in total. You can go ahead to the next slide, thank you. So in the United States, the recall process usually starts with the manufacturer determining that they have a safety defect that requires a recall, or they have a non-compliance with the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard. In some cases, we determine at the government level that a recall needs to be done, but that's very rare. For the responsibilities of the manufacturer to conduct a recall, they must provide a report to my office outlining all the details of the defect, the remedy, and what needs to be done, and what they're going to do. They also need to notify owners in writing of the recall, provide a free remedy program, provide us with the recall completion rates, reporting for 5-year period, and offer a VIN lookup tool. So vehicle owners can look up to see if their vehicle has an open recall or is subject to a recall. You can go ahead to the next slide. So we make sure that we have a great transparency for our recalls. We allow an email subscription service. We offer an app on your telephone. We also make sure that we put every recall on our website and have interactive dashboards and tools for people to search on our website. You can go ahead to the next slide. So we also have the ability for people to go to our website, NHTSA.gov, and look up by their VIN, their vehicle identification number, their license plate, or their make and model. We also provide flags for recalls that are more urgent. So recalls that are do not drive, there's a reason why you shouldn't be driving that vehicle. For example, an airbag recall. Or for when there's a fire risk, to not park the vehicle inside. This usually applies to electric vehicles. And we make sure that those are called out in bright red so you can see them. And starting next week, we will have a yellow highlighted box that will be for over-the-air software updates to let people know that a software update will fix their vehicle. You can go to the next slide. One of the tools that we've developed is having these interactive dashboards on our website that allows people to search by manufacturer or model or component or other metrics to look for recalls and recall trends. We also have it available for investigations, so people can see publicly what investigations we have open. You can go ahead to the next slide. So a few tips that we have found to be effective for increasing recall completion rates. And we do put these on our website. I have the website link at the bottom. So the big one we've seen is using direct and plain language about the risk, not minimizing the risk. Not using technical or legal terms in recall language notices. Making sure that greetings are appropriate to the person, using their name instead of just dear owner, using their actual proper name. Obtaining the current owner contact information and really trying through registration or other means to find out who the current owner is. using a strategy that includes multi-channel or multi-touch approach, different ways and multiple ways, and continuously going over time to make sure that they are getting the information. An emphasis that repairs are free in all recall materials, that there's no charge, no cost to the vehicle owner. Notable use of the manufacturer's brand or logo on all the recall materials, so they identify that it's something they own. Reinforce the consequences of not getting the recall repaired, what will happen to them, and use graphics or images whenever possible to display that risk or severity. Provide instructions in every communication to owners that if they are no longer the owner, how they can get in contact and get their name off the list and identify the new owner. Use social media and dealer or retailer communication strategies. Use an approach that considers current owner demographics or barriers to obtaining repair and mitigate those barriers. Monitor parts supply and communicate parts availability. So even if parts aren't available, letting people know when they will be or what your estimate is for that. And then make sure repairs are as convenient as possible. Provide time estimates, towing, mobile repair, free loaner vehicles, courtesy shuttles, or software updates as available. And you can go to the next slide. Thank you.
Agradecemos la presentación de Tania. Ahora vamos a pasar a la segunda presentación, que se llama Gestión de Recall en Chile, Avances y Desafíos, que está a cargo de Daniela Parra. Daniela Parra es administradora pública, magíster en Ingeniería Industrial y diplomada en Técnicas de Vigilancia para la Seguridad de los Mercados. Actualmente se desempeña como jefa de la Unidad de Seguridad y Sustentabilidad en el Consumo, USCC, del Servicio Nacional del Consumidor, SERNAC. Con una destacada trayectoria de más de 12 años, lidera la Mesa Nacional de Seguridad de Productos, promoviendo estándares de calidad y seguridad en el mercado. Además, actúa como contraparte técnica de la Organización para la Cooperación y el Desarrollo Económicos de la OCDE, fortaleciendo la cooperación internacional en materia de seguridad de productos y protección de los consumidores.
Muchas gracias, Luz. Muchas gracias a todos los que hoy día están acá presentes. Gracias. Agradecer también a Tanya, que se tuvo que conectar de Estados Unidos, que nos está acompañando también. Y vamos a revisar ahora un poco cómo se correlacionan en el fondo hoy día los sistemas que tenemos en lugares tan distintos del hemisferio. La siguiente lámina, por favor. Bueno, primero que todo, familiarizar a algunas personas que tal vez no están asociadas con los conceptos de los recalls. ¿Qué es un recall? Un recall es un llamado a las personas a reparar un riesgo que está presente en alguno de sus productos. Básicamente es eso. Pero ¿qué es lo que lleva el recall detrás? Es todo un proceso de mercado en el que intervienen varias empresas y autoridades para poder gestionar correctamente la prevención de esos riesgos y la mitigación de los mismos. ¿Ya? ¿Qué es lo que se visualiza entonces en una alerta de seguridad? Básicamente se hace una identificación clara del producto que tiene
the product, that defect and risk are identified, eventual accidents associated to it, instruction consumers should follow, repair measurements, and something crucial, something important are the contact points of the company. So people nowadays in Chile particularly get informed of all the present recalls. What we have available are several information spaces, among which the website of the SERNAC as an institution, the website of product safety.cl or Seguridad, Producto Seguridad. It's been relaunched today, and today it's been updated. It's a specialized website in product safety where we can fit it with information, and also the website, which is this one from the Consumer Safety and Health Network, the CIA, the Inter-American Rapid Alert System. In all those web pages, consumers can be aware of all the alerts. Under which umbrella can we manage this? The law of the protection for consumers establishes the law to everyone on safety in the consumption of goods and services, as well as the company's duty to protect people from those associated risks. Particularly, there's an article, a section within this law for consumers in section 46 stating that once companies are aware of a product that is in the market and their risk was not announced before, they are obligated to make the authorities aware. One very important definition here is that the competent authority for all the purposes in the market should always be understood as the sectorial organ guiding or auditing that category of product, and always to the national service of the consumer every time products are in people's hands. And it is our work as a national service of the consumer to have it under custody and protect their health and safety. Next, please. In addition to that, to what the law protected, the base law, there has been some other legal sections to reinforce this faculty of the SERNAC and also the duty by companies and people's rights. Specifically in the law 21,988, more requirement has been established where, among other things, you can read that automotive industry, particularly in automotive industry, should clearly inform the requirements to maintain the voluntary warranties, including maintenance, costs, authorized workshops, and so on. And also it indicates and clarifies that consumers can freely choose the technical service shops except for some justified exceptions. And whether a repair and the warranty lasts for more than 5 working days, companies should provide a card of similar characteristics so the people do not miss the opportunity to use the product they acquired. This is related among each other a lot, and this is related with the condition by the recalls. Recalls are valid and apply to the product irrespective of who the user is. For example, if the car is a car that has been resold, this is the second or third owner, the alert and the recall always apply to the product. Therefore, the person who has it under their custody has anyways the right to have the caution measures executed at any time. This is very important. And one more thing, it does not require maintenance and not required to be done in the specific brand shop for that specific flow. Other measurements demanded under that spectrum should be respected around the warranty. Next slide. One more important thing we'd like to outstand here regarding the recalls. Recalls, we do not manage them autonomously or independently or in an isolated manner. We have shared experiences with all the members of other countries where we can see that recalls and products are sold at the various markets, and many of them are overlap. Some of them are generated in the United States and they are the same supply here. The only difference we need to make is between the vehicle's themes, which is like the identifier of the vehicle, which do not always apply for all models of the same brand, but for a particular series. That type of considerations need to be made, and to do so, we are coordinated in constant coordination with other sectorial organs, also with companies, where we keep continuing communication or constant communication to identify if an alert applied in other country applies in our market, if those items, those laws have been imported here. The work with the sectorial organs is fundamental. As a consumption organ, we do not have the technical competencies in all matters. Therefore, it is fundamental we can support each other, or we can be supported by sectorial organs. If it is an electrical appliance and that presents a defect, we talk to the Superintendency of Electricity and Fuels to review that the defect being indicated is effectively the one being indicated, and if the measurements companies are offering clearly can or cannot mitigate the risk. Otherwise, we could be exposing the population to new risks, and that also needs to be prevented. In addition to that, we have been working around the development of messages and information material. We have been trying to improve the scope of the recalls for people. Although we can launch several campaigns, but people do not conclude their campaign, the risk is maintained, particularly in those riskier products such as transit accidents or traffic accidents mentioned by Tanya in her presentation. Important to mention is not only to leave the recall announced, but also monitor the campaign so we can see its progress, and then later to do an assessment of the results, and to do that the tracing of the campaign is relevant to see if additional measurements are necessary, to see if the percentage is lower, and also gather with the companies and other businesses to verify if that progress or lack of progress is due to a lack of responsibility by the company or other reasons, where occasionally has to do with the product age, the cost of the transaction to execute the action, and so on. In that sense, we should rescue that alerts in Chile at the campaign execution, which are totally free for consumers. Some gaps in Chile when it comes to recall management is to focus with a bigger focus in raising awareness of the consumers due to the low awareness they have around that, and have a better dissemination to favor the recall management, something we've been doing for a while. We need to systematize it to move on. And also some things related to e-commerce, as it was presented before by our under director, on the safety of the products. Next, please. Some progress we have made is the improvement of communication. Although there are to do things, we have made important progress. We have incorporated new technologies in order to better manage the data, and there's something I would like to highlight here, and I would like to refer to it as a new work we will do, and it's finally that in order to do a dissemination and raising awareness project, we have made an agreement with the Transport Ministerial Secretary, where we will work with all technical review plans to pilot safety alerts in the spaces where these technical reviews are done. We also want to do the same with other authorities, and we can add to this the efforts by the girls to inform through their web pages. They have created some repositories allowing people to access more easily to that. Next slide, probably is the last one. And well, important challenges around this, besides increasing consumers' awareness, is above all to optimize communications among people and improve communication of the risk. In addition to it, develop systematization work The risk is something essential. We need to work around that, not only inside companies, but also with mass media, so they can know how to better inform people without generating bigger uncertainty, that bigger than the real uncertainty. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Daniela. Very clear presentation. Now we'll continue with presentation number 3 by Honda, Best Practices in Recall. Our speaker will be Leandro Contreras. Leandro is in charge of client experiences in Honda Chile, responsible for the application of the consumer's law in the Honda car dealers. With more than 7 years of experience, he has developed systems of connectivity and led campaigns of safety, strengthening their relation to clients. Besides, he leads the implementation of policies and processes aligned with the regulation, improving the satisfaction of the client and the company's satisfaction. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much. I hope you're fine. Daniela, thanks to Daniela, who always considers us for these type of events and help us to constantly improve our management. Before beginning, I would like to make it clear that we are all called here to improve our products. And we as company, as private companies, we are committed to improve this. Let's continue. Before starting, I like to make an introduction about us, Honda. For those who are not familiar, Honda is the leading engine manufacturer worldwide. They can also brag about of being awarded Formula One and leads the sale of motorbikes globally. It's one of the few brands, probably the only one, with presence in sea, land, and air. It's a company reinvesting their earnings in the development of new technologies to foster safety, and also invest a lot in technology to enable the use within the personal mobility for people with reduced mobility people. Robotics is one of their elements to reach that goal. What's the global plan at Honda? By 2050, Honda will be investing around $34 billion during 2021-2026 with one goal, to reach 2050 with 0 fatalities of traffic in Honda. That's pretty challenging because not all people uses Honda as a brand. This is for cars and motorbikes. So they are developing technology around autonomous vehicles in order to reach that goal. 0 carbon, that's another goal in all processes and products. It is also challenging considering that the automotive industry contributes with around 80% of all emissions globally. Let me tell you about the challenges we have as an industry, how we can see this from inside, what our challenges are, our main challenges. Let's move on. The first challenge, and the one that speakers have talked about, is awareness, raising awareness, how making people understand this and can take measures. For everyone, it's too difficult to coordinate time to take the car to the shop. Usually people postpone this type of activities, and this is why it is important that messages and everything we can use is clear. It is also important to understand that as a second challenge, it's difficult to find clients. We have 80 campaigns of safety active. We've been trying to find cars as of the year 1996, then it's very difficult to reach those users. It's been 30, 40 owners. Okay, of course I'm exaggerating, and sales are not always formal. So when they are in the motor vehicles record, we have some of them, and they say, okay, I sold that car 20 years ago. That's difficult, but not impossible. This is why we're here. One more thing is the National Registry of Motor Vehicles. When we launched a new campaign, as Daniela has explained, they sent us a list of vehicles, a VIN. Not everybody knows what a VIP is, the car's identification 17-digit number with several characters referring to the equipment, the year, where it was manufactured. So when we have this list coming from the factory, they do not always match the national registry. And why is that? Because probably there was a problem in the digitalization of the car's identification when it was registered some years ago, and only the last 6 figures of the vehicle identification was registered. There's also a lot of problems in relation to the registry. And one more challenge is this challenge to develop the relation with public entities which have the information, and we believe they can help us improve our management and continue moving on. And finally, we got internal processes, challenging ones, generating system, developing platforms, making car dealers aware, make them be part of it, and continue with the availability of gears, which is also a very important challenge. We do not always have everything we want, because in every place there are some budgets we need to respect, so we need to be pretty organized and neat to reach our goals in the best way possible.
Moving on to best practices. For us, it's very important to the customer as clearly as possible these kinds of situations. For us, is a very good practice to try to educate the client, the customer, with a clear messaging regarding safety campaigns. We also have a lot of internal training. We want each of our dealerships that work at a brand dealership can be an ambassador of the safety that we want to transmit through our products. Finally, what it is that we want is that every dealership, every person that works, and every customer that we reach out to understands that first, car manufacturers have a responsibility, including myself as a representative of the brand. We have a responsibility that is above the factory warranty. Our warranty is currently it's up to 3 years, but we're looking for cars that are over 28 years old, because we understand that the responsibility for safety goes beyond that. The second thing is that they are free. It doesn't matter how many owners the vehicle has had. It doesn't matter if they did or did not do any sort of brand-supported maintenance. It doesn't matter if the client repainted it. What we're interested in is that the product that we put out in the market and that suffered any sort of premature wear and tear, it can be corrected opportunely. This is all aimed at correcting issues, as we said, about premature wear and tear and factory errors, which is not something that we can foresee every time. Something that we believe we're doing well right now. We don't want it to create any sort of flaws 10, 20, or even further years down the line. I also want to explain something about one of our safety campaigns. That doesn't only impact Honda, it also impacts the industry of the industry, which is the SRS airbag campaign, which are the ones that began this entire revolution when it comes to safety. I don't know, somebody has explained to you, this campaign is focused in the inflator of the airbag. That is a small cylinder, no larger than a soda can, that contains the chemicals that are mixed and are excited electrically at the moment of impact. This was put behind the airbag. So if somebody has an accident, these chemicals mix, the gases are expelled, they inflate the airbag, expecting contact with the vehicle occupant and lessen the strength of the impact. What happens throughout the year, car manufacturers realized that they bought from this brand Takata these small cylinders in these more humid, more saline climates, and these orifices would be saturated and blocked. So at the time of an accident, instead of releasing the gas through the orifices, this cylinder would explode, sending shrapnel through the airbag and potentially harming the vehicle occupant. And that is very, very concerning. Currently, as a brand in Chile, we have over 40,000 vehicles on the started importing vehicles to Chile at the middle of the 60s. And currently, in the year 95, has SRS airbags in all their models. That's why it impacted us so strongly. Thank you for letting me get off track for a little bit. What are our main challenges? We have challenges when it comes to databases. We buy databases to reach out to customers, and we complement this with internal information, complementing our needs. We also have trouble with the scale of the contacts. We need to contact many, many customers in a very short time frame to advance with our goals. And flexibility is also an issue. We need to always be flexible and be able to include our customers into our safety campaigns. We need to evaluate our communication channels because the world is constantly changing, and we need to use different channels to reach out to people. And there's also the promotion through official channels. It's an important challenge to understand what are the official channels of the brand, and also visibility. Visibility in our website, visibility of our dealerships, and so on and so forth. How does this work internally? We need to create a plan. Our plan needs to have the option of evaluating our capabilities to do this successfully when it comes to space in the dealerships, the amount of spare parts that we have. 1 minute, please. Of course, I'll speed it up. We need to contact people through our platforms. We need to have a platform that is capable of sustaining contact with customers and provide the service and feedback that is necessary. That's what I was saying right now. And lastly, what is the challenge in all this? The challenge is 100% of our customers, we obtain the data of about 55% of them. 6% of them actually reply to us. 3% of them schedule a citation, and only 2% actually go to these scheduled citations. We do not have the information of 45% of pending clients that haven't been notified because we lack their contact data. We do not know who these vehicles belong to. And here is the invitation. We've seen many presentations, but if I want you to stay with something, is that I want you to understand that us as a manufacturer, we are intent on figuring out who these other 45% people are. You need to go through a technical assessment plan for your car every year, as Daniela has stated clearly, so we can find these cars. We understand that we understand that we at least need to inform our customers. We need to reach out to them between 6 and 14 times for them to actually go. Can you move on to the next slide? Well, these are our results over the years. This year, we challenged ourselves looking for additional growth on the pending campaigns that we have. And thank you so much for your attention. Now we're going to move on to presentation number 4. Towards a safer market, the safety of products in Colombia. This will be presented by María Ramírez, who is a lawyer of the Externada University of Colombia, managing telecommunications, new technologies, and state hirings. She has several years of experience in public sector. She has had many occupations, such as the disciplinary chamber procurator and the elite hall of disciplinary investigations, and she has also been part of the State Council. She's a delegate superintendent for the product protection and consumer protection of the Superintendence of Commerce. Her work has been focused on administrative matters through interdisciplinary investigations and resources related to administrative sanctions. Her professional credentials have a profound knowledge of analytical skills through judicial investigation, effective coordination of teams, and excellent communicational skills. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. And firstly, I would like to thank SERNAC for this kind invitation directed by Andres Herrera. Thank you so much. We've felt extremely welcome in this wonderful country. We've had a very, very warm welcome that has us very, very happy and content. So thank you so much. In Colombia, the Superintendency of Industry and Commerce is the entity in charge of following up on consumer affairs, both in motor vehicles and also any sort of product for personal consumption. And these competencies were found established under political constitution. The product safety is enshrined in Article 78, establishing that the people responsible in the commerce chain and production of goods and service attempt against the safety and health of consumers. As a development of Article 78 of the political constitution. Can you hear me? All right. Our statute of the Ley 1480 establishes a constitutional right, and we can find it in different dispositions of the statute related to safety. We find a right to safety that all consumers have, so their products don't mean any sort of risk or danger to their health or their lives. We have the definition of safety, and we have the definition of defective product. As an example of the competencies that we have in the superintendency when we find a product that may attempt against the safety or life of the consumers, we have an order that we impart a few years ago. For example, in the case of masks, here we see that the risk is given by the design of the mask, especially for children under 14 years old where they don't have breathing holes. So we ordered the makers of these kind of masks took into account the design of the mask and embedded certain features that would prevent risk to children's lives. The information effects can also be a risk to people's healthcare. For example, laser pointers. There was also a recall order because they did not contain the necessary information for them to be handled correctly. And in some cases, some people were blinded by these objects. So there was also a recall order. And also, of course, defects that may be present during the manufacturing process in the case of airbags. The 1480 law has these statutes that forces people to guarantee the safety of their products. And it establishes the duty that every member in the production chain and trade chain, they must have if they have the knowledge that there's a product in the market that could be harmful or have adverse effects against the health or life or physical integrity of the end user, once there is knowledge of that matter, they have the imperious duty of letting the superintendency know in 3 days after receiving the knowledge. and putting to the superintendency's disposition the corrective measures to avoid any sort of damage to befalling the customers for both non-delivered products and the ones that are already in circulation. Now here's the procedure when we do these safety campaigns. It doesn't matter if it's the manufacturer or the provider or distributor, the obligation applies to everyone. They need to inform and adopt the corrective measures that are necessary. Currently, the Superintendency of Industry and Commerce is surveilling the over 2,000 safety campaigns. Among them, we highlight the 142 related campaigns exclusively about the airbag inflators of Takata, vehicles that vehicles that are from the years 1999 to 2018. There are currently over 115,000 of these airbag inflators yet to be attended in Colombia. We've invested we've imposed sanctions for over $350,000 in related to the reporting and execution of these safety campaigns. These are some of the many brands that are included in this safety campaign, even though not all of the vehicles of these brands have these airbags. Along other vehicle-related products and other products in general, we have all these other safety campaigns that we can point out. For example, in food and drink, cleaning articles, toys, construction materials. The most representative ones are baby and children accessories and items, and we keep a close eye on all these campaigns. The entity has a safety portal, product safety portal, where providers and producers and manufacturers have the responsibility of reporting unsafe products. This provides information to consumers. And we also have a whistleblowing portal for people to report products on our website. We have the administration of this year, as we also mentioned in other presentations. This is a constant factor in the management that we do when it comes to product safety. We are constantly verifying international portals as well. As you can see here in America, Asia and Oceania, and Europe. The CR is synchronized with the OECD portals and organizations and with the United States with the NHTSA and CPSC. As dissemination strategies, we have informational videos of the Takata campaign that we constantly have available on the web. We have a folder of files directed towards entrepreneurs related with product safety and safety campaigns and recalls regarding the regulatory framework of different products and how these campaigns need to be managed. And we also have a live question campaign. We did it in conjunction with the Road Safety Superintendency when it comes to motor vehicles. Recently, we developed a digital strategy through our social media in which we look to raise awareness both to consumers and entrepreneurs of the motor vehicle sector that is focused in providing information and seals and what these symbols mean when you're looking at safety systems that vehicles have. We're always looking to raise awareness and educate consumers so they can learn to identify the safety features that their vehicles have and what is the most important relevant information that they need to check when they are purchasing a vehicle. And finally, I want to reiterate this commitment that we have from Colombia on safety matters. We are constantly managing working, and the matter of sanctions is also important because, well, it's also a way of dissuading the people that don't comply with the safety measures and they don't do their due diligence when it comes to product safety.
Thanks to the speakers. Congratulations for your commitment regarding safety. Congratulations.